you could be sitting down and devising process or different ways on reaching to the community, but if you don't get the community, different community leaders involved, so that we can have, like, for instance, I've been there, I haven't heard about Brooklyn Park, maybe intercultural day, where we can bring our kids to I live in a community, luckily for me, my neighbors and our kids, we all can meet, but that is not what is happening. So where is the, because it is the commitment from the Brooklyn Park City Hall that will continue and that will spend this thing to last the longest, because without their commitment and because they have the resources to keep this going, the other organization or non-profit, they may only be able to function if they can get funding. Without funding, the ability for them to do certain things will be limited. So we need to work on how the Brooklyn Park liaison officer, how well she's liaising with the different organizations and continuously having these maybe quarterly or semi-annually type of process that can bring all of us together.
It is not about City Hall as it is about our own communities.
Okay.
How are we owning our own communities in a way that we have a collective voice that makes sense? Because if the communities are not united in themselves in understanding what their issues are, they can't represent that issue to somebody else or begin to criticize out there. We must come together as a community first and understand what we need. So we're talking about issues, right?
Right.
I don't know whether we have identified what the community issues are. No. Because other than that, we'll be assuming. You say, oh yeah, with the issues we care about, what are those issues? Can we define those issues, and then we start to go further from there?
Okay, that's
you know?
very good. Thank you.
These foundations, we have to find a way to identify these little immigrant organizations that are doing most of the work that the so-called big non-profits will hire one immigrant and say they're doing the work and get these $250,000 and millions of dollars. And so these things that we are talking here today, I think one solution, if these foundations, I have talked to McKnight Foundation, I've talked to United Way, I haven't met with Bush Foundation to talk yet, but if you guys can identify a way or find strategies to get into these communities and find organizations that are functioning and support these organizations, I think it will move us into a different way. But we keep funding the LSS and the International Institute and all these big organizations. It's like revolving accounts. Every year we just send them the $200 million or whatever $1 million it is, and they don't even have to fill an application. We just call them and say, hey, October 15th is the deadline. Whereas these foot soldiers are left, they can function when they have to go to work at night and come back and meet the communities in the day. If they were hired, if you have one person hired to do the work, surrounded by volunteers, I think we will move forward. You know, so I think that's a way forward for these foundations to get into our communities and help us do some of the things that we need to do.